Heyo, welcome back to my walkthrough of Bloodborne. Now, last time we just talked to Eileen the Crow, so now we're going to continue onward, and I'm going to show you where to get some more collectibles, and where to get some, how to progress forward. Now, I may decide to go back and fight the Cleric Beast if I think I'm strong enough, but it's much easier if you have the axe or the saw cleaver, and I'm playing with the threaded cane. Now, you might notice that there are these items here hanging from the ceiling, and you can just knock them down. I don't think many of them are that useful. However, I believe one of these was the saw spear? I'm trying to remember which side it drops on. Anyway, once you've done this, you can just drop down. You need to be careful not to drop down into the very bottom. You can, if you drop down here, it'll take minimal health damage. Do be careful though, there are plenty of enemies that'll do quite a bit of damage if you take a hit. Now, if you've gone and collected other things outside of what I've collected so far in this guide, you'll probably have a lot more health vials than me. However, I don't have that many, and so I'm probably going to take extra precautions that you might not necessarily need to take. So once you've cleared out these guys, I'm just going to go around and clear these guys out up here, and once you've cleared them out, you can progress forward. Further downwards into like this little water runoff area. I don't want to quite call it the sewers, but it's kind of like a gutter. There should be at least one or two more guys around up here, and then I'll continue onward. Now, many of you might be under the impression that you cannot level up until you fight the Cleric Beast at least one time, and that's not entirely true. You can level up once you've gained at least one insight. Now, I'm not sure if I have any at the moment, but if I come across a madman's knowledge, I will be able to go level up. The other way you gain insight is by defeating boss fights. You get 2 insight, and the first time you see a boss, you get 1. So, just walking into the Cleric Beast boss area and letting him kill you will allow you to level up. Alright, so that item over there is the saw cleaver. I've dropped down on the wrong side to pick it up. I would need to go all the way back up and around to pick it up. I might show you how to do that, depending on how much time I have, or where I end up, but I might not. So do know that if you drop down on the other side, that is the saw cleaver there, should I not decide to go pick it up. Or not the saw cleaver, the saw spear. There. So here's where some madman's knowledge is. And just go into your inventory and use that. And now next time you return to the Hunter's Dream, you will be able to level up. This way you don't need to die fighting the Cleric Beast, or be able to fight the Cleric Beast unleveled at all in order to level up. It's quite helpful. Now there are some enemies at the top of this ladder. Let's see. Alright, now it's precarious getting up that ladder, because depending on where these guys are standing, as you head up that ladder, they may just shoot you right off, and it can be rather frustrating if you're not careful. Alright, now I heard him coming, but I wasn't sure where he was, and I didn't remember that he was here, so do be careful that he doesn't try to chase you off. As we'll be continuing, the first boss fight we're gonna fight is Father Gascoigne, and I always like to fight him by just parrying him, by shooting him, and getting that powerful critical attack when he gets stunned. many boss fights in this game you can do that with. It's rather surprising. If you're the old Dark Souls games, you couldn't parry many of the bosses, to where in this game, most of them can be. Also, you may have noticed we've been picking up these bloodstone shards. They're incredibly useful because they allow you to upgrade your weapon. So next time we return to the Hunter's Dream, I will be upgrading the threaded cane. This is the Saw Spear. It also is a dexterity scaling weapon, although not primarily. So if I take a look at it here, you see the threaded cane has C and dexterity at the bottom, and this one has D. Now if you upgrade it, it might become C, maybe B later, to where the threaded cane becomes B, maybe A as you upgrade it. Now, where that's important is if you're not used to this game, that determines how much damage you do based on your primary stats. So if you're using a dexterity weapon, dexterity weapons will do more damage the higher your dexterity is. The better the dexterity scaling, the more damage it'll do. So as you progress through the game, you'll want weapons with better scaling. If you haven't upgraded your weapon at all at this point, the Saw Spear might actually be a better alternative, being that it does a little bit more damage unupgraded, but as soon as I go to upgrade it, it will become more useful, I feel, to use the threaded cane. But this is also a good weapon to use until you get, if you decide to use this and you like the way it works, you can use this up until you get the Blades of Mercy, if that's what you're going to go for. Now up here is another little quest line you can do. It's not vital and it doesn't give you a whole lot, but it allows you to trick out your messengers with a nice little ribbon, depending on how you want the story to end. Here's another Madman's Knowledge in case you didn't get the one earlier. Now, you might remember where we are. We're back near that courtyard. Near the beginning. You might not see it yet, but this was a fence that was locked previously. We're now on the other side of it, and we'll be able to return to the beginning this way, although the shortcut itself is not terribly useful. It's only quite useful when trying to return to this girl here in this window.
If you find my mum, it plays and one day forgets us. Mum says.
Now, this girl will ask you to find her mother, who's run off to find her father, who hasn't returned home. Now, her father is in fact the next boss we're going to fight, so sadly, he's not coming home either. Now, her mother's already dead, and so when you recover the jeweled brooch, you can return it to her, and she will then leave home now to look for her sister. Sadly, she'll die doing so, so if you never talk to the girl, she'll never die because you'll never complete her questline, supposedly. This is just some cleanup here. Kill these ads, move forward. Will be a shortcut coming up soon that will allow us to return to the hunters, to that first lantern. Now, if you are worried this point, or you're low on health files, or you'd like to go level up before continuing, you should have some bold hunter's marks if you've talked to Eileen, and what those will allow you to do is return to the lantern just from wherever you're at. So feel free to use one of those at any point, and then return to where you once were if you want to go level up or buy some items, or whatever you might think is necessary. I'm going to wait until the end of this video to level up, as I'll be hitting back to a shortcut. Now, the end of this hallway here will be a ladder. So I'm just gonna kind of head towards that. So I'm just gonna kind of skip these guys here so we can go level up. So the end of this hallway is this ladder. Now, if you'll also notice there's a pig there at the end of the valley. Climbing this ladder will allow you to get to a shortcut, which is quite useful. It will open up a shortcut to this boss and back to the lantern. So, being that this boss is a little difficult, if this is one of your first times playing the game, this shortcut is invaluable, rather than having to go all the way down through the sewers and all the way back again. Now, you might remember where we are. If you've explored a little bit, we're now back at the top on the other side of the house from the first shortcut we unlocked. So you can just run past these guys if you're afraid of dying. And you'll notice now we're back here on the other side of this fence, back at the first lantern. And after this we'll be heading towards the what I will fight as the first boss. Head back to the lantern, level up, and buy any items you might need using what you have, upgrade your weapon. The first thing I'm going to do is upgrade the threaded cane, and then use my remaining blood echoes to level up. So you want to fortify weapons using bloodstones, and so we have 7 at the moment, so we'll use 3 to level up one time, and if we get another one later, we'll be able to level up a second time. So our weapon now does significantly more damage, which will be quite helpful. And we can now level up by talking to this NPC here.
Very well, Ned.
I'm going to increase my health and then my dexterity some, because my endurance is at a pretty good point right now for where it's at in the game, and I could always use more health. Dexterity will increase the amount of damage I do, and that'll be a good stopping point for now. So in the next part, hopefully we'll kill a boss and move into the second part of the game. Now, if you want to cooperatively PvP, this item here is very important, the beckoning bell and the silencing blank. This will allow you to summon other players and ultimately make the game a little bit easier. You need to have one insight again for this to appear here. So I'll see you guys next time, and hopefully this has been helpful to you guys. Later.